the AutoCAD book is that. So be sure you got the right one, 2014, 2D Fundamentals. And it should have video disc with it. You will need to use the video disc. So I'm going to demonstrate as much as I can, but there'll be things that you'll be wanting to do after that's over with. You need to go back and review, or you want to go ahead, work ahead, which is fine. You can use that video. You need to use the video disc because it's the author of the book demonstrates all the tutorials, so you can see it done. You'll see me do them, but then you can see somebody else do them, or if you're working ahead, you'll be able to watch those and move forward. Okay? Does anybody need to go get the book?
I don't have it here. I've got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've got a extra piled up here somewhere. I've got a 2013. I've got a 2013 book.
That'd be all right.
I think the screenshots will look a little different. You just have to tolerate it.
That's all good. I'm for sure.
Okay. Everybody else good? All right. Okay. In Blackboard, there is now a new folder called CAD Chapters. That's supposed to be orange. It's orange on my laptop. It's yellow on this screen. Anyway, the chapter is open and available. The folder is open and available. For you, it will initially look like this. Okay, so we're going to look at the introduction, getting started right now, and then you will do in class today a quick outline, two-level outline. Okay, and I want you to do it quickly, do it as a draft. Okay, and then you'll go back and refine it. So if you will go ahead and after I run over the information, you'll just need to step through there and pick out the high points and do a quick outline of that chapter. All right? Then you'll submit that. So we're going to do that today. All right? Just a quick rendition of it, draft kind of version. I'll look at them and you'll come back and refine it. All right? Add some things to it. So just the high points. As soon as you turn that in, then the chapter assignments will open up, okay, where you can submit items. All right? I'm going to go over a little bit about how all this is going to work too. So the very first chapter has, the folder has a big set of instructions. Not every one of them will be like that. It kind of runs like this for every one of them. This is a tutorial study. You won't hear me a whole lot. I will demonstrate every Tuesday and Thursday different, either not necessarily the tutorials, but the exercises. I'll go over those and I'll go over the fine points of those. Okay, but it's a very tutorial type of approach. Recipe, cookbook, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you follow the steps exactly as indicated in the book, and you'll create a drawing. All right, then you're turned loose on your own, and you got to do 2 or 3 or 4 drawings on your own, and I throw in videos or exercises, demonstrations of those exercises for you. Okay, so that you can do them. All right. when you run into problems or difficulties, then if it's worthy of sharing with the whole class, I'll do that from time to time. All right. Basically, everything is worth 100 points, and then your grade is compiled, given value to okay. Gosh, I'm trying to think of the word I want to use. But anyway, each part of the assessments are given a different weighted value. Okay, so your chapter review questions only count 10%. Okay, but they're usually going to have to be submitted before you can go into and submit the exercises. But you'll know what exercises to do. You don't have to sit and wait. Okay, and as soon as you submit something, it'll open up. It's not waiting for me to grade. You just got to submit it. Okay, there will be a little video check. You can go in there and video review of the chapter review questions. So you can click on that and watch it and hear me go over the answers. Okay, so it's on demand for you. So we don't have to wait for everybody to get ready and get done, and then I go over them, all that kind of thing. So it's kind of situated. I've kind of made it to where you can move along at your own pace to a certain degree. Okay, and it's possible that for some of you this will agree with you very much, and you'll take off and run ahead, and that's fine. Okay, and even if some things that you've submitted have not caused the next lesson or chapter or assignment to open yet for some reason, you can keep moving forward. The way this tutorial is put together, it'll work pretty good for you. But it's all pretty much the same procedure. You'll need to read and survey the entire chapter, the entire tutorial. Look all the way through it. I'll be going over them up here. Okay? But you need to do that. You need to look all the way through it and see where you're going, see what it's doing, see what you're going to end up with when you're finished. Okay? So you know where you're going. All right? And make your experience a lot more pleasant if you do that. All right? So after you've surveyed the information, then you'll start on the tutorial. Do all the tutorials. Sometimes there's just one. This very first one we do, we have several little things that we're going to be doing, okay, that you have to save a drawing for it. And then you do your chapter review questions. They'll make a whole lot more sense, and you'll know the answers pretty quickly. All right? Type those up, send them in. As soon as you send them in, then the exercise assignments will open up for submission, okay, and instruction to what to do, okay? Then after that, after you do the exercise for one chapter, then the last exercise, then the next chapter will open and be available. Knowledge tests, there's only 4, okay, that we're doing. So after chapter 3 we do one, and then after chapter 6, and then after 7, kind of might be getting my numbers wrong here. I'm thinking off the top of my head. So we've got 4 tests spread out, and you've got multiple chapters. They'll be over multiple chapters. Okay, and it says knowledge test, but there'll probably be some little drawing work that you've got to do. I'll send you off while you're taking the test. You'll have to pause and go open up Autocad and create a drawing, and then answer some questions about the drawing. Okay, so you actually will draw it, according to the dimensions and so forth, and setup, and then I'll ask some questions about where is this coordinate, you know, what's the area inside, what, you know, various dimensions that, and if you get those right, then it tells me that you've drawn it correctly, okay? That is how they do the certification test. If you do the user certification exam, you decide you want to become a certified user of Autocad, the basic, most basic exam. They do that throughout the whole test, besides just multiple choice questions. Okay, so the outline looks like this. Today we're looking at the getting started. You're going to do one exercise, which is actually the outline, and then I've shown what competencies you're accomplishing by finishing these various tutorials. AutoCAD fundamentals, we'll also touch on that today. There's 4 or 5 tutorials that you turn in, and I'll go over that with you, and then there's 2 exercises to do. Any questions so far?
Can we print that out?
No. We won't print anything until we get down here to orthographics, okay, multi-view drawings. We'll print one. I think we'll only print one out here. Then when we get into templates and plotting, printing, we do a bunch there. Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering to see if we could print the outline out. That was my
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about printing drawings. Yeah, if you want to print it out, you download it and print it. That's fine.
Would it be better also if we brought our computer, like my laptop, like someone be using it at home?
Better? I don't know. I mean, I don't care. You can. It doesn't bother me. You can use this, or it doesn't matter to me what computer you use. You know.
Well, I just didn't know if some of the stuff we had to save.
Yeah.
But I got
Well, I mean, they're really tiny. CAD drawings. They can get huge. You know, the bigger projects. Nothing we do though is big. So I mean, if you got a jump drive, you can copy it to that. Anything else? Okay, I'll just kind of leave that up for reference. All right. So the procedure is shown on here at the beginning when that chapter opens up for you. Reading and surveying, watching the video, part 1 and 2. Follow and do the textbook tutorials. Save the tutorial. They need to be saved in a certain syntax or naming convention. Okay, and that's listed for you here for the tutorials. When you save the review questions, you can, I've got it listed here as putting it in a Word document, but you can stick them in just the assignment if you want, you know, in the submission area. But you might find it easier to put it in Word. Then you do the exercises. Then you'll name the exercises EX1-1- and then your initials. And the reason why I've got rules on naming it is because in industry, you go to work somewhere and you're having to use a CAD system or file system, they're going to have a specific naming, file naming convention or syntax or procedure that you have to follow. Okay, certain ways that to keep things organized. That's number 1. Number 2 is when I start grading a bunch of your work, sometimes I'll get several of them downloaded. I don't want to copy somebody's drawing over the top of somebody else, which happens very, very rarely, but this prevents it if you'll just follow this little naming sequence. Okay, so I'll grade the drawing. I'll send it back to you if it needs revision. If it doesn't, I'll just grade it. You get your grade and you go on. You'll open the drawing. If I do return it to you, I'll send you a little note and tell you that look on the drawing, open it up, download the drawing and open it, and I'll have a little note in there about maybe something you need to correct or change or revise. After you check it, make the changes to it, you'll add the word revised to the end, okay, after your initials, and resubmit it. And then I'll look at it again and give you additional points. If there's any revision work that needs to be done, it'll be returned to you as a 69%. Even if there's just one little thing on it. Okay? You make your revisions, send it back to me, and for the most part, everybody gets at least a 90, maybe even a 95 on the next, after I have checked it, after you've done your revisions. Okay? So everybody in here has a chance to make an A on all their drawings. Now, if you do revisions and you, for some reason or another, and it happens occasionally, you add more problems to it. More things are wrong with it the second time. That happens every now and then. Just amazing how it happens sometimes. And so it'll come back to you, stuck at 69. You get another chance to revise it, but on your second try, you probably won't, if it's something major, not communicating, you're probably not going to get an A on it. You'll probably just get a maximum B after you fix it. So after the second try. I've never had them go more than 2. Okay, but if it did, then it would drop down to a C as be your maximum grade on that drawing. And then, of course, the logic is it would, on the 4th try, you could only make a D. So that's not going to happen to anybody in here. All right? So your first assignment in the introduction, getting started, is going to be doing an outline, and I provided a sample outline that's a 2-level outline. Okay? So if you determine that there's a topic and there's really no subtopics, only one subtopic under there, then that becomes item 2, not item A. Okay? So if there is a 1, there's a 2. If there's a A, there's a B. If there's a number 1 here, then you've got to have a 2. Otherwise, it becomes a C. If, for instance, if there was no number 2, and you listed something as a subcategory, you thought of this, well, if there's not another subcategory or another subtopic, then that becomes C. Okay? So, just remember that. If you got an A, you got to have a B. Okay? If you got a number 1, you got to have a 2. If not, then that just goes up the next level. All right? No big deal. Don't make it a big hairy deal about it. Just follow that along, pick out your topics as you see them, as you survey it, and create a quick outline. Okay, but there's a sample that you can go by. All right? Let's see. All right, quickly. Autocad, the getting started. So in the front part of the book is a correlated certified user reference guide. Okay, so if you do end up wanting to take the certified user test, this is just showing you the way the certified user test is broken down. all right, in different sections, and then what is covered, how it's covered in this particular book, what chapter and page. Okay? Then the table of contents for the book itself. All right, all the topics covered and what page they're on, just a table of contents. And we just jump right into getting started. Remember, you can download Autocad. There's instructions in the syllabus for doing that. You download Autocad for your home system. It's free, lasts for 3 years. You can download Autocad. I think 2014 is still in there. Let's hope it is. Or anything they make as a student. So you go to autodesk.com and you go to Education Communities, or Communities and Educators and Students, and then go in there and register. Give them a little bit of information, your name, your school email address. They're looking for an EDU email address to give it to you free, and your birth date. Okay. Autodesk, AUTODESK.com. Then you'll see the Communities tab and pick on that, and then you'll see Educators down in there, students. All right. You need a fast connection. It takes about 45 minutes on most of the DSLs. Time Warner might be a little cable connector, internet connection might be a little faster. It's real fast in here. If you do hook up to our Wi-Fi, bring your system in here and download it. It's, fiber optic. After it gets past our Wi-Fi router, then it's fiber optic all the way to server, pretty much. So it's really fast, 100 megabit, something like that.
You did say the Mac edition is laid out a little bit different than Windows.
Yeah.
So you have to learn both of them.
Jeff gave me an evil eye there.
Yeah. I got one too, man.
We have to get you all together, support group, It does look different. The layout of the Mac operating system is different. Has to be different, of course.
Go along with anybody else.
No, but it's not terrible. I mean, it's just the screenshots in the book will look a little bit different. Yeah. Okay. So, CAD started out way back, actually in the 50s. They did have a modeling technology, and the first CAD programs were in the 1950s. They weren't very interactive. You weren't really drawing on them. They would generate geometry and so forth from programming. So it wasn't very interactive. We didn't have mice, and basically the keyboard was probably a teletype system. Okay. Later in the 60s, all the big General Motors and Lockheed and all these began to develop their own systems, their own mainframe systems, and then launch forward. Really, I'm going to move pretty quickly here. You'll need to touch on it in your outline a little better, but in the 80s, when the personal computer was developed, then about 6 guys got together communicating over their modems, okay, their bulletin board systems they were called, and 300 baud per second, maybe as high as 1200 baud per second, mostly just texting back and forth. And a guy named Mike Williams kind of led this group, and they were not a company, they were just programmers, and he created the AutoCAD system, drawing circles and lines and squares and different geometry, and sent it out to them, sent the code to his buddies, and then they would tweak it, send it back. It went back and forth like that, and then they said, you know, hey, this might actually work on a system, on a personal computer. So the Autodesk company was formed initially with $50,000. Software company began, and you know, today it's a, I don't know, multi-billion-dollar corporation into lots of stuff. So, you know, if you could have bought some of that stock back in the early 80s. I first used AutoCAD in 1986, so it was already up to release 10 by then. I did touch and use a little bit release 2.5 just for a little while, but it was not until release 10 really that was a crowning achievement for AutoCAD or Autodesk, and it really was so functional and great to use. It lasted for a long time, and it was not based, you know, on Windows at all. Windows wasn't out yet, you know, hadn't been created yet. So it was all DOS-based, disk operating system, and all kind of text-based, and we had no mice to use. Okay, with keyboard and your little cursor buttons. Okay, so then in the 90s, it evolved into a more powerful system, bringing in more engineering, doing what they call vertical developments for a specific industry. So they were tweaking CAD. People were writing stuff for CAD. It's an open architecture software still today. So you can learn how to program and write specialized menus for AutoCAD. It's completely open architecture. So you use a special language called AutoLisp, A-U-T-O, capital L-I-S-P, and they have a visual Lisp now. It used to all be text-based programming. But you can really change AutoCAD, the whole menu system, and create your own custom commands and change the way it looks totally. And a lot of companies, corporations do that internally and create specialized procedures inside of AutoCAD. Holding true to form, the other 3D modeling package that AutoCAD uses, that sells, is Inventor, and you can also customize it to a degree, but it's not as open architecture as AutoCAD is. AutoCAD is really a general drafting program. It's a general CAD program, general drafting, okay? And it can be adapted to many different types of technical drawing. Okay? So later on in the 90s, also the 3D wireframe and 3D modeling started coming on more and more, and around the 2000, 2001, they really took leaps forward, and a constructive, solid geometry programming engine was developed, and this allowed us to actually create models in the computer that were mathematical representations of real objects. Their physics and everything about the object, we could tell the object to be steel or plastic or wood or whatever, and we could pull physical information out, engineering information out about that object, okay, that we could use in calculations, its mass, its density, the center of gravity. Then stress analysis became available where we could actually stress it either with pressure or heat and get feedback information about it, finite element analysis. So moving forward with it in the past 10 years, 2004, okay, 14 years, so really from 2000 on, it has just exploded. I mean, the CAD features and CAD software that's available and functions, you know, it's like a lot of things. It just keeps building and growing and becoming more advanced. In one way you look at it, it's more advanced. In another way you look at it, it's dumbing it down. The engineering and the way you can create and model, it's got all the intelligence built into it, you know. So it does stuff in the background, huge mathematical calculations, you know, that we don't have to do anymore. It's just like drafters used to. We had to study and learn, you know, trig was just part of it. We had to know trig, okay, because we were drawing on the board and figuring out, you know, things that were 10 thousandths of an inch or even smaller, you know, a millionth of an inch in accuracy in some cases. So we'd have to use trig to calculate locations of things and fit of things, okay, to prove that where it is, because we couldn't do it on paper. You couldn't measure it with anything. You know, we got these scales, these plastic scales is all we had to use. So we'd create representations of it and use math to prove it. Okay? Then comes CAD, and it's accurate to the 16th place decimal, floating point decimal accuracy. You know, so when you draw something on your screen, when you create a drawing, that's it. If you tell it it's 2 inches or 2.364298.7 inches, that's what you need. Okay? That's what it is. It's not anything more or less. It's very, very accurate. And because of that, it's very unforgiving. It wants to be connected at a certain point, or, I mean, it has to be connected. So why even use CAD? Of course, well, you know, it's the tool. All right? It started out in '82. Autocad is the widest used software, CAD software in the world. There's millions of installations of it, not counting the other millions of installations of all the other product that they have. They have about 15 different packages for different applications. Okay. All right. Now, getting started with AutoCAD, looking at your book on page 7, Intro-7. When you start up AutoCAD, you will just either go to the Start menu and look for it under All Programs, but normally, once AutoCAD is installed, you will see a button for your AutoCAD 2014 or whatever version it is you're using. Okay? They started naming AutoCAD after the year, the calendar years, with release back there at AutoCAD 2000. Okay? And it was a disaster. And so they quickly came out with 2000i. But anyway, right before that was release 14. It was a pretty good release of AutoCAD. Pretty bulletproof. The main problem for years in the beginning was the hardware couldn't catch up a lot of times with the AutoCAD development. And, you know, you were constantly having to really update and upgrade your hardware so that you could use the next version of AutoCAD. You know, I've been using the same systems in here for for 7 years. So, you know, 2000, I think we started out in here with 2006 or something in here. And here we are getting ready to load to 2015 next semester. And so far I haven't had to change any of the hardware. I've boosted the memory a little bit. I need to upgrade the video card to get maximum performance, but it runs Autocad. So you'll pick that, and it'll give you a splash screen that you see on page 7. Okay, and you wait for that to install and load up, and then you'll probably not get the same screen. I'm going to go ahead and close this momentarily and start it back up. Takes a while on the very first try, and then the second time you go into it, it'll start up a little quicker. There is a initial drawing dialog box, a startup box like this, called the startup dialog, that you're probably not seeing. Is anybody seeing that already? It's probably something else. Okay. So what you'll need to pick, because I don't have time to turn mine off and mimic what you have, so what you'll need to do is go ahead and just pick open, you know, to start up a basic drawing of Autocad. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just let this start back up, and then I'm going to show you what to do so that will, and this is covered in the tutorial later, but I want to show it to you now. We'll actually enter a command in Autocad, which is really changing a system variable. Now, a system variable in Autocad is basically a switch to make it behave or change its characteristic a little bit. Okay, so let me take a peek at everybody's screen. I'm going to look at your screen and see where you're at. Okay, so if you haven't started up Autocad, you need to do that. Okay. Let's see. Who must leave for another class right after this? Okay. All right. Because I'm going to run just a little bit. I'm going to run right up to noon today. Okay. Looks like. All right. Once you are, and my screen is white, and you can change colors of the background. So once you get up to this point, you can just start typing. I like to click down here where the command line is. Your command line is probably floating. I've got mine docked. We'll cover that a little bit later. But if you just start typing at your keyboard and type the command start up, which is all together one word. It can be lower or uppercase, doesn't matter. Start up and press enter. Then you'll get a little question out there. It says enter new value for startup. So yours is probably set at 0. You need to type 1 and enter. The number 1 and enter. And you won't see anything change. Nothing happens. It looks like nothing has happened. Then you X off the little X, not the big X, but just close this drawing session. And it shouldn't ask you to save or anything. Okay, the little X. And then when you start up another drawing in Autocad by clicking this new button up here in the quick menu, okay, it looks like a blank sheet of paper. When you click that, you should get this dialog. Okay? All right, want me to run back over that? Anybody need help? My synchronize up here is, or a smart sync. I'm trying to look at your screens, but it's not updating very quickly.
You close the command window, that's what you hit the same which X are you hitting?
This little X right up here.
Oh,
That's for the drawing session, not the big X.
okay.
Yeah. If you hit the big X, it'll close AutoCAD and you got to start it back up. This just closes the session. So what you did is you messed with and changed a system variable. And so it's permanent for your profile. No one else, somebody else comes in, logs in on your computer, they have to do the same thing over.
Lost my grid.
I don't worry about it. We'll get it back.
I didn't know if that was the command or not.
Yeah, don't worry about the grid. We'll learn how to turn it off and on. Okay, so once you get that changed, then you'll get this dialog box, and you'll use this a lot. It's just a very quick, easy way to set up a drawing. And this button right here, start from scratch, and imperial feet and inches, and sometimes you'll start up a metric drawing. So you just click OK, and AutoCAD reaches out there and grabs a special template that's generic for inch type of drawing. Okay, are you okay, Mr. Burns? All right. I just can't get your little display up here. It looks like you're still taking a test or something. I know. It's just, I don't know why. I'm going to click into your screen. Okay. That's the only way I can force it to update. I can see everybody's cooking. Yeah. All right. Then what you'll need to do in your book is while AutoCAD is open, so obviously we're not going to get our little outline done today, so that's going to be pushed over to, you can work on it between now and Thursday. That would be fantastic. So plan on doing that, having that, if you could, have that done by Thursday, your little outline. But what you want to do is have AutoCAD open and look at the screen layout and all the different labels, okay, the different areas of AutoCAD. So your drawing tabs, this is new to 2014. If you use a older version, the tabs won't be up here, they'll be down here. So this, if you have multiple drawings open, they'll show up right here. The big A is the application menu, just like on all Windows products. Your quick access toolbar, completely customizable, and in there several different choices. Your info center, your help menu over here, you can type in and search. Sometimes less than rewarding when you search for a topic in AutoCAD help. They just pound you with a plethora of information. It's sometimes hard to pick out where the real answer is. Of course, your graphics cursor, again, that's customizable. We have over here on the right, if you're doing three-dimensional drawing, a view cube and a graphics or a toolbar for viewing and navigating your drawing area. And then your command prompt area is down here. Okay? And then I want everybody to please look at this area of your screen right now. Okay? Your coordinate display. Okay? Your coordinate display. And down there, everybody, when you click in here and you've got your cursor and you're moving it around, and I've got so many things running, mine's real jumpy. okay, because I'm recording and I've got several things running. So my video card is real struggling refreshing. If you notice down here, your coordinate display, your drawing coordinates, wherever your cursor is, AutoCAD is telling you the exact location of your cursor in the real world coordinate system. Okay? You cannot change things. You cannot change the coordinate system here on your basic startup. Now we can create user coordinate systems later, but this coordinate system you're working with here is permanent. It's fixed. It's considered the real world. When we draw in CAD, very important, you are not drawing to scale. Okay? If you've got a house plan and you want it to fit on an 8.5 by 11 sheet, you don't draw the house to scale. You draw the house full size in CAD. So if it's a 40-foot long house, you're going to draw lines that are 40 foot long. Okay? Then when you go to print it, we scale it down using a scaling procedure in the layouts. So we make the scaling process separate. That's the opposite of the old drafting days of pencil and paper, or if you do any kind of sketch work on your own, you're sketching out your floor plan or a machine layout or whatever, you have to mentally scale it and then use perhaps even a drafting scale to scale it down, get it down to size so it'll fit in your drawing area. Okay? So when you're drawing in AutoCAD, you're working in the real world coordinate system, the XY two-dimensional coordinate system to begin with. And then we'll take a peek at and look at the Z and the three-dimensional drawing a little later, toward the end of the semester. Okay? So make yourself familiar with all the different pieces and parts of the screen layout. At least look at them. See how they kind of behave when you hover over them. And you can get information about various pieces and parts. You know, it'll actually show up. You've got your panels right here. And if it's not on it, you can click on the home panel ribbon, that is. Sorry. This is your ribbon. And in each ribbon are panels just like it is in various Word Microsoft products. And then you've got commands, and then the commands that have the little triangle under it, okay, those are called flyouts, and they're special prepared commands to do specific operations. Otherwise, if you just pick the main button up here and not the flyout, then it's going to do whatever was performed last. So if I do a 2-point circle, it remembers that. And the next time I want to draw a circle, it's going to offer me the 2-point. So I have to do my down list and maybe just do center radius this time. Okay? So it remembers what you've done, at least the flyouts do. Okay? All right. Then it takes you through, if you look back in your tutorial manual, it takes you through the various menus and talks about workplace switching, workspace switching. Okay, I'm going to touch on that very quickly. Up here in the top, in the quick menu, is a thing called workspace. AutoCAD has now made it possible for us to change our workspace, our graphics area that we're drawing in, to different setups. So when you do a down list of that, you can see there's one called 3D Basics, one for 3D modeling. Then there's the thing called AutoCAD Classic. And that's a throwback to using just toolbars. And you may find that you like that better, but be aware that there's only probably one tutorial in here that covers that. You know, part of the user examination or user certification has to be covered. So this is what the AutoCAD used to look like pretty much for several years since release 14 up to about 2003 or so. There was only toolbars, okay, not the panels. And you can just easily switch back. And drafting and annotation is what we start out with and use here in the course. All right, so put yourself through a little trial of each one of these and clicking in and reading about how they work and how they function. Your status toolbar at the bottom is very important. Okay, see these down here at the bottom? Okay, it's a way that there are toggle switches where you can turn things on and off. Okay, if you get this thing up, you can just exit off. Okay, your design feed, it's called. We don't need to use that right now. Okay, so down here, now that I've switched back to drafting and annotation, mine looks more like yours. My command prompt is floating. That's okay. I like it docked, which you can drag it and dock it down here. You can drag it and put it on the left-hand side, I think, even. But down here, we got a place where we can turn on our snap so that it's like a snapping grid. We can turn on our grid, okay? And we can modify that to look very different. We can turn on orthographics, which means that you're going to draw at right angles only. Okay, so it's an easy way. So many things are just right angles. See, Mr. Huff has drawn me a smiley face to look at. Thank you. And that's all right. That's great. And polar tracking, special type of drafting accessory so that we can draw at a specific, using vectors, a distance, and angle. That comes in extremely handy for some drawing projects. Then you'll be using object snap like crazy in just a couple of chapters. You'll be using it. You can't hardly exist without it in CAD. And it allows us to connect to different geometry points on our drawing. Okay, once you start creating geometry, then you want to be able to connect to the endpoint or the intersection, the quadrant, or perpendicular, tangent. So all of that is available, and you can turn it multiple snaps on and set them however you want. So we'll be going over all of that. Okay. So there are no chapter review questions. All I'm asking you to do is do a simple 2-level outline of the intro chapter. Okay? And I probably called it Getting Started. Yeah, not intro. That's all for today. Of course, to exit, you don't need to save anything. So you can just X off to get out of AutoCAD. And Thursday we'll pick up and begin looking at AutoCAD fundamentals, and as soon as you send me an outline, your AutoCAD fundamentals assignment opens up. Okay? You don't have to, it doesn't wait for me to grade it. I will be grading them and sending them back to you for revision. Remember, this is just a draft. Since it's drafting, it's just a draft you're going to send me. All right? Have a good day, everybody.